We all know that Donald Trump's stooges are always happy to go on TV and lie through their teeth to defend the most indefensible actions and statements of Donald Trump's administration. But as of recently, it's gotten a little bit more difficult to do. Not because they're finally starting to feel some shame and regretting their lying. No, MAGA would never do that. But it's because things are just so disastrous. Donald Trump and his Doge bags with Elon Musk are literally causing our government to collapse, and it is completely indefensible even for MAGA. And so when they get pushback on the lies they tell, they start to melt down, and in this instance, started to scream. And that's what we saw from Stephen Miller in a CNN interview that went completely off the rails, so much so that the host cut it a bit short, and we're going to get into that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now let's get into this crazy interview.
So far, you're not telling me the employee, the agency,
Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act. It's well known by HR in the federal government and in private industry as well.
So, okay, so you're saying that the president, in your view, doesn't have the authority to recall a member of the armed forces who may or may not, again, I'm the first time hearing of this, that may or may not be serving overseas?
Stephen, you understand how the Guard and Reserve work. They have a day job, and then when they're activated, they deploy. While they deploy,
right, but
that employment is protected by law.
Your question is lacking in so much detail. I promise you, I'm trying to follow your question. Are you asking me if the president has the authority to remove a member of the military who may be serving overseas? Is that your question?
No, my question was...
Okay, well, I don't know how much airtime you want to spend on this, but I'm not following your question.
Well, I think it's an important one. I guess I'll determine how much airtime I spend on it, but does your administration understand who is in the federal workforce?
Yes, we have such a broad question. Of course we understand who's in the federal workforce. And I'm happy to indulge all of these very histrionic questions about anyone who may or may not be fired.
That it's 30% veterans?
But I think that
and that you have people who are deployed?
The U.S. government has $36 trillion in debt. The interest payments on the debt exceed the national defense budget. The American people are exhausted and tired of watching their tax dollars be corruptly spent, abused, wasted, and in every sense robbed and stolen from them. This president, for the first time in history, is committed to restoring accountability at every level of the federal government. You may assert there's no waste in the Pentagon. You may assert there's no waste in Treasury. You may assert there's no waste in HHS.
Stephen, I don't think anyone...
Then why are you not celebrating these cuts? If you agree there is waste, if you agree there is abuse, if you agree there is corruption, why are you not celebrating the cuts, the reforms that are being instituted? Every day that no action is taken, the entire salaries of American workers that are taxed disappear forever.
Stephen, let's calm down.
This is
we're not having a debate.
There's no reason
about whether there are places...
You are clearly trying to debate me, and I will be as excited as I want to be about the fact that we are saving Americans billions of dollars, that we are ending the theft and waste and grift and corruption, that we are stopping American taxpayer dollars from subsidizing a rogue federal bureaucracy that has been relentlessly weaponized against the American people.
Okay,
you
Stephen,
may not care about this issue.
I'm not talking about
your colleagues may not care about this issue, but we care about this issue. The American people care about this issue.
They also care about privacy.
And the American public overwhelmingly supports what President Trump is doing.
Let's talk about IRS data the Doge will be able to access. You have Doge asking for access to the IRS systems. This includes the integrated data retrieval system. I know you've talked about this a little bit. Will Doge employees be able to access individual taxpayer ID numbers and social security numbers?
No. But also, keep in mind, you keep
Will
talking
they be able
about
to
Doge
access
employees.
taxpayer bank account information?
They will not be able to access anything that any other appropriately authorized federal employee could access. When you keep talking about, quote, Doge employees, you're just talking about federal workers. You're just literally talking about federal workers. Your question may as well be, can federal workers do their job? The job of the federal workers at the IRS is to prevent... Well, I'm telling you that is actually what you are asking. Doge is part of the federal government. It is a term to describe the employees of the federal government who've been tasked with anti-fraud and anti-corruption activities. Again, you may not consider it a scandal that millions of illegal aliens are accepting and receiving taxpayer benefits. You might not consider it a scandal that millions of illegal aliens have stolen Social Security numbers and are committing rampant theft of American resources.
You say that you're looking at widespread fraud in the IRS data, and you mentioned yesterday, and you mentioned again here, illegal immigrants who are getting child tax credits. Are you looking for that information in the IRS data?
Anytime a crime is committed, of course there should be an investigation. Is it your position that if somebody who is
Stephen,
here
are you looking for that
criminally is stealing
information in the
taxpayer
IRS
dollars?
data?
The federal government will find every illegal alien who is stealing American taxpayer dollars. And that's what Americans expect to happen. I don't even fathom the premise of your question.
It's a simple question. Will you find that information in the IRS data and share that with law enforcement?
If IRS investigators find illegal aliens stealing taxpayer money, of course they'll be referred to ICE. Of course they'll be referred to Homeland Security investigations. Of course it will be. Surely your position is not that we should let illegal aliens steal taxpayer dollars. Again, you want to talk about something to be upset about, that's it. What do you think? The millions of illegal aliens who've also stolen Social Security. Illegal aliens in mass have fake Social Security numbers. They have fake identities. Those are felonies. Why should there be an entire class in this country that is immunized from criminal prosecution and arrest for committing felonies? Felony theft of taxpayer information, felony theft of Social Security, felony theft of identity. These are all crimes. And yes, they will be investigated. Yes, they will be prosecuted. And yes, illegal aliens will be deported. And you know what happens when those deportations occur?
Just very quickly,
is that Americans will get jobs, Americans will get benefits, Americans will get houses.
Stephen, if they got a child, if they got a credit, a child tax credit, and they will be referred, you're saying, to ICE for that, and you would expect deported for that? Is that the position of the administration?
If it is found that a crime has been committed, they'll be referred. If it justifies a prosecution, they'll be prosecuted. If it justifies a deportation, they will be deported. This will be based on existing IRS protocols and procedures for criminal investigation and fraud.
All right,
the difference is that no one is given immunity anymore. No one is given permission to break the law anymore. Because this is not a country, this is not a sovereign territory. If illegal aliens can freely steal billions, with a B, billions of taxpayer dollars. And I would have to imagine that CNN, which is endlessly talked about the importance of democracy and the rule of law, would say that no class in this country should be above the law, least of all illegal aliens who've trespassed on our territory.
No, Stephen, I'm just asking, I wanted to get your position on some things. We're not taking a position here. We wanted to get some answers to some questions. There are so many questions that need to be answered.
It doesn't sound to
Miller,
me like you are, in fact, indifferent or unbiased on these questions, but thank you.
Stephen Miller, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And we'll be right.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that Stephen Miller was on his A game there, even though as one of the strangest creatures I have ever seen in this world, one that always makes me uncomfortable with his face and voice and posture. He's always got this like hunched evil villain, like petting a cat thing going. I think someone should teach him to throw the old shoulders back, but maybe I'm not the one to make that critique considering how I sit at this desk. But obviously he's just a complete disaster of an interview. How could he defend mass firings at the Department of Energy, overseeing our nuclear arsenal? How could he justify firing government employees currently working to combat the bird flu? They can't. That's why they're begging these people to come back when they realize the mistakes they've made. Hey, Donald, I got some advice for you. Maybe stop firing everyone. Maybe stop trying to rip the government apart. Then you wouldn't have to try to put it back together, something you're clearly not very good at. And like I said, they're begging for these people to come back. And in one of the scariest examples, well, actually, I'll let Rachel Maddow take this one away.
Here at home, the National Nuclear Security Administration maintains and refurbishes and ensures the safe and secure storage and transportation and maintenance of our nation's thousands of nuclear weapons. NNSA runs the National Nuclear Labs. They develop nuclear propulsion systems for our nuclear submarines. They are the people in charge of making sure that terrorists don't get their hands on a nuclear weapon, or that nuclear weapons technology doesn't get stolen and sold in the black market. They're also in charge of making our new nuclear weapons and inspecting those weapons, and Trump is firing them, firing hundreds of them. The agency only has like 1,900, 2,000 people. Thursday night, they sent out termination notices to more than 300 of them. Termination notices reportedly to hundreds of staff of the small, expert, professional, very important National Nuclear Security Administration. Isn't there anything about the name of that agency that might suggest to you that maybe this isn't the best place to make cuts? What about National Nuclear Security Administration bugs you and makes you think that one is dispensable? Do you want to ask your mom? How old are you? You ever worked in this field? By Friday, the geniuses in the Trump administration had maybe Googled what this agency does or something, maybe heard from a few members of Congress. And so after sending out those termination notices on Thursday night, they tried on Friday to take it back. They tried to unfire the hundreds of people from the National Nuclear Security Administration that they had just fired the night before. But because, again, they're geniuses, they fired these people effective immediately and cut all of these people off from their work email and all their work computer systems and everything. And then a day later, when they decided, ooh, maybe we shouldn't have fired the National Nuclear Security Administration, they had no way to get in touch with all those people they had just fired to say, oops, sorry, please, will you come back? This is the level of expertise and efficiency we're dealing with this new administration. Trump administration officials on Friday, quote, attempted to notify some employees who had been let go the day before that they are now due to be reinstated, but they struggled to find them because they did not have their new contact information. In an email sent to employees at the National Nuclear Security Administration, obtained by NBC News, officials wrote, quote, the termination letters for some NNSA employees are being rescinded, but we do not have a good way to get in touch with those personnel.
This is terrifying. It's terrifying. These are the stupidest people in the world making the dumbest decisions about the smartest people in the world. Donald Trump is taking a meat axe to agencies with some of the most important experts in our federal government, and he doesn't seem to care. But chaos is kind of the point for Trump. But what isn't the point is all the negative press that he hates to get. And that is what we need to bring. We still have agency in this thing. We can still push back. We can still make our voices heard. It's what we're going to be trying to do on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.